What's happening out there? You fine folk. Up, everybody is doing good out there. Welcome back to another episode of the 420 news, guys. It is Wednesday here, middle of the week. Not doing the Mondays or Fridays just yet, so we get to have a lot of the midweek fun with you guys. Today's midweek fun is going to be done in style. We got some. Hide my face. See if it'll focus. Oh, there we go. Look at that. This is what we call a beautiful nugget of blueberry. So Bobby Hauser, Opal over there in the US of A. Bobby's been hearing a lot about the blueberry over here in the 24/7 hot box. Guys, if you're not already after joining up to the 24/7 hot box, I believe the link is in the description of today's show. So find the link to Telegram and click that link and you'll be able to join the 24/7 hot box. So all of this fun stuff you see happening over in that corner, that can happen 24/7 on your mobile phone if you just join the Telegram group. So Bobby's been hearing about the blueberry over there as a couple of people have been consuming this beautiful fine bud. Shout out to Green Tea out there if you're out there, and also Mr. Wes. Absolute heroes helping keep the civil disobedience alive on the 420 news. Without them, I would be talking on some... Where is it? Here we go. This is a bag of hash that was made from an outdoor plant from last year. And I would imagine there's probably more contaminants in here than hash. Not the nicest of stuff to be smoking at all, unfortunately. It was a little experiment of an outdoor plant that didn't really work out as intended. But I happened to find this bag of hash, when I was after her running out. Not going to lie, I definitely smoked a bowl or two of this stuff, and it'd get you a little bit lifted, but it just wasn't the most pleasant of things to consume. It's very harsh, I suppose, really is the word. But still, you know what I mean, when you're stuck, you're stuck. Also have to give another shout out to an absolute hero out there, Daily Talker. Daily Talker still got a little bit of this outdoor bud that was so graciously gifted by yourself, man. You're an absolute hero, as well as Mr. Wes and Green Tea out there. Vaped some of the other stuff as well. It was quite tasty, in fairness. So you get some good stuff done outdoors in Ireland. It's not going to be grade A top shelf primo bud, but as I said, if you're stuck, you're stuck. Let's grind up some of this, and as we grind, we're also going to give props to another absolute hero out there within the community. Guys, if you don't already know this website, then come out from whatever rock you've been living under, because R420 Supplies is the place to be. Get over there to r420.ie and you pick up some lovely, lovely gear, bongs, pipes, skins, and even clothing and all other bits and pieces. R420.ie, I suppose, why I want to bring them up as well, not just like these guys aren't a sponsor of the show, they're just an absolute hero out there in the community. They've got this really cool grinder. I don't know if you can really see this now, but this grinder is actually made out of cannabis. Smells like it too. No, it's made out of hemp fibers. So the hemp fibers have been put into a kind of a polymer form, I suppose. It's been like these things can get 3D printed and everything. Like you can get like hemp Lego blocks now and all of these days. So again, if you want to get yourself an old hemp or cannabis grinder, it's made of cannabis. You get it? It's not for grinding hemp. It's for grinding cannabis, and it's made of cannabis. Get over to r420.ie. But yeah, why I wanted to talk about r420.ie at the start of the show as well, guys, is just to let people know, the difficulties faced by businesses that cater for our community. R420.ie up until very recently was, beautiful blueberry, was accepting online payments. So I suppose that's going to be the first headline or the news today on 420 News, is that the online payment system of r420.ie was unfortunately pulled. So that left Kev, the owner of r420.ie, in an unfortunate position where, a lot of his business, I would imagine, was coming in from online because he's above there in Portlaoise. And, it's kind of up there, it's a small enough community, but if you're able to cater for an online community, that increases your customer base. And to take away the online payment facility, then for the store, it's crippled them. It's effectively taken away. I wouldn't say just one leg. I'd say imagine two legs, because the online business now these days for stores around Ireland is probably a big part of business, especially following on from COVID, where a lot of people changed up their shopping habits. Some people opting to buy online over a trip into town and avoiding the public transport and all of that stuff that goes with it. So again, a large volume of business taken away from this great supporter of our community. That's r420.e. Can't say it enough, guys. Get over there, check it out. But all is not lost anyway for Kev and R420. As if you go over there, I believe if you can put an order in online, possibly take a screenshot then of that order of your basket, send that then to Kev via one of his social media platform. I'd imagine Instagram, Facebook, or even an old-fashioned email, because emails are old-fashioned these days, or so I've been told. But yeah, you can send an email with the screenshot of your order, and I'd imagine Kev will give you back a reference number then. Head on over then to PayPal or Revolut, and you'll be able to transfer the money with the reference number used as the code. Again, just have to re-emphasize, guys, you cannot mention cannabis, skins, or anything like in regards to paraphernalia, as they would call it, because then you could run the risk of getting a PayPal account shut down, or possibly a Revolut account as well, getting investigated and possibly shut down. I believe when PayPal shut down your account, a lot of the time people lose the money with that account as well. So let's not let that happen to Kev and his account. So again, as I said, if you want to make an order there online, you have to take a screenshot of a basket and then send a message there via social media or email to R420, and then he'll give you a reference number and you can just send a payment online. It's an unfortunate way that it has to be done, but again, if you want to show your support for R420.e, and I'd imagine a lot of you out there want to or are already doing it, that's just a little extra, barrier there now if you have to jump through in order to support this business. But I do implore people, do get out there, support R420.e. The guy's a hero within our community, always at the front line. He's not just at the back helping, the R420.e, the owner of the store there, Kev, he's up at the front line and he's an absolute hero. So get over there and show your support for that business. All right, before we move on to any other news, let's get some civil disobedience done here, huh? Yeah? Let's give a big applause for Kev. Is this the one? No. There we go. That's for you, Kev. That's for R420.e and all the great things you're doing for our community. I really got to start sticking labels on those buttons on my soundboard. Well. Oh, that's a well-packed bowl of blueberry. Lovely, lovely, lovely jubbly. Oh. And again, shout out to R420, keeping us lit up today. A lovely clipper, and one of the many clippers. Obviously you can't see this now as it's nice and green, but one of the many clippers available over there. He's got a fair old selection of clippers in that store as well. I love collecting clippers. In fairness, I used to have a drawer full of the things from the days going over to Spain and stuff like that. You go over to Spain and they always had really cool clippers over there, so I used to have a big drawer of them, but unfortunately they all got pinched over the years, in the smoking room at the pub. R420, yeah, and I see him in the hot box there. Yes, as Mr. Finnegan says, your ears must be burning. Let's blaze one up there anyway, guys. Hopefully everybody out there is blazing with us, or if you're not, hopefully that's by choice and not one of these inconvenient tolerance breaks people have to take when they run out. Blaze on up, guys, if you got it. All right, DB, welcome to the chat. Oh, so tasty. Who else is out there in the chat? We see Scatnist, Mr. Finnegan. Hi, and homegrown. What's happening, Mr. Mackey? Who else out there? Barry Fields. Dahi, what's going on, Dahi? Boolabus there. I'd imagine that's a Boolabus, the R420. Yes, keep them coming, guys. ZN is out in the audience. What's happening, Mr. Zombie? And Jog OG. R420 supplies out there. Yes, nice one. A nice one as well to R420 for streaming the live stream of the Patients for Safe Access there on Saturday above in the store. Hopefully the customers came in and maybe they stuck around for an old cup of tea and watched what was going on. Apologies, I couldn't get the second half going. Should have brought a little battery pack with me that day to keep the phone charged, but unfortunately, shit happens. Not to worry though, the rest of it will be available online very soon, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a short little bit. John Roach, what's happening? Temple Growers out there as well. What's happening? TG. Mr. Toto, what's happening up there over on the lovely east coast of Ireland? West coast of Ireland. What am I saying? The west coast. Jesus, that's the west coast up there in Galway, yeah? Hopefully you and the old Madri are doing good. 2 dogs you have, yeah? And then a German Shepherd and a little Jack Russell, if I memory serves. Jimmy's Touchdown is out there as well in the US of A. 10:25 over there. What's happening, Jimmy? Good morning to you. Or top of the morning to you, Jimmy. Peter Kelly out there in the audience. Dave Gorman. Teresa as well. What's happening, everybody? And yes, I believe that's everybody in the hot box. Is it Danny Butler? What's happening, Mr. Dan? Just rolled one with my R420 grinder. Nice. I'd imagine that was one of the goodies that you got to pick up for being one of the attendants at our many protest there last year. If memory serves correct, R420 brought some serious goodies to a number of the protests. The most I've seen was probably above there in the Phoenix Park, which I suppose to mention is going to be happening again very soon. I'm going to pop up a screen there now, 1 second. Is your bullshit detector still working? I just seen that article you sent me there, John Finnegan. It was a post by John O'Regan. We might touch off that there. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. I want to get up a poster. I should have had this ready there beforehand. Poster that was put together actually by somebody we were just talking about. One of the heroes, the unsung heroes within our community. 1 second now. Bear with me. Media files. There we go. Why did that not come up? Don't do this. There we go. Boom. Picnic in the park. There we go. Picnic in the park. So if you want to be like Danny Butler out there in the audience and possibly pick up one of the many goodies that to be given out above here at these events, then make sure you have this in your calendar, guys. The 10th of July. So this is less than 4 weeks away, I think, or possibly just over 4 weeks, so somewhere in that region anyway. You know, maybe 4.20 weeks away. Yeah, okay. But July 10th, or over in the US of A, that would be 710. And if you spell 710 upside down, you know, if you spin it upside down, it's oil. So oil, dabs, you know, the old concentrates. And if you don't get it, you'll be forgiven, I suppose, because over here in Europe, I suppose we're not as Americanized to the dabs and stuff like that just yet. Unless you're very lucky out there, you know, it's few and far between. I come across here consumers of concentrates like dabs anyway, you know. You might get a couple of them coming on, but there's nobody like who's just straight up dabbing away all the time, like. Because there's just no consistency there in those products, unfortunately. But oil, anyway, guys, it refers to the consumption of concentrates like dabs. 710, Phoenix Park, be there, be square, guys. It's going to be a great day out. Let's hope, like every other year in the last number of years, I've been going to this event above there in Phoenix Park. The Ganja gods grace us with the sunny sunshine. So that's been the case anyway, at least for the last few of these events. The sun has been there. I think the very first one I went might have been a little bit windy there on the day, so a word of warning, it could be windy. It is Ireland after all. Pre-rolls, guys, there's your key to success there for the picnic in the park above in Phoenix Park. Pre-rolls. If your choice of consumption is combustion, pre-rolls, don't be coming with your skins and your grinder and expecting not for it all to be blown away, because chances are it could be. So make sure pre-rolls, and lots of them. Bring more than you need. For the last number of years, the cops have respected our right to protest above there in the Phoenix Park, and we've not been interfered with at all. The guards have been there a number of years. They've been present at these. They've witnessed us grinding up cannabis, rolling up cannabis, and sparking up cannabis. And not once did the Gardaí intervene. They knew that what we were there for was a protest, and we were engaging in civil disobedience, and they respected that. So I have to give props to the Gardaí who were up there in the Phoenix Park. They respected us, and thus I'm going to show respect back to you, and tip my hat to you. Well done on that day, and let's hope we've a continued show of respect there, and I've no doubt that we will. And let's hope after this event, that there's going to be, let's hope that we break the record of our past event. The past event, I believe we got over 1,000 people. So let's hope we get, let's aim for 2,500 people for above there in Phoenix Park this year. Why not? Why shouldn't we have 2,500 people? A country of 5 million. I believe that they say that there's over 17%, I think, of the adult population here. That's probably a bit of an underestimate. Consume cannabis, so there's hundreds of thousands of us out there. So to expect 2,500 of us to show up, protest for our right, and not to be seen as criminals in society, that's not too much to expect, is it? So let's see, do your part anyway, guys. Plenty of pre-rolls. I've seen people up there with bongs as well. I've seen dabbing rigs as well being brought up there. So, whatever your choice of consumption, bring it away. It's a bring your own cannabis event. Don't be coming expecting to buy cannabis up there either. I have to stress that one, don't be coming expecting to buy cannabis. But what you can expect when you do come is that you'll probably get lots of goodies. There's been people going around handing out edibles. You might have seen my video from above there in Dublin at the last events of 420, jokingly saying how prohibition makes you take candy from a stranger, and I was eating candy that I was given from a stranger. But yeah, edibles are frequently given out at these events to adults as well. There does be at times young people show up to these events, but obviously the people handing out these things are sensible enough not to be just handing them out to kids and stuff. It's just to the adults who get them. So if you're unfortunate enough to look under 21, as they say in the shop, then make sure you have a bit of ID there to whip out and say, come here, boy, look, I'm over 18. Go on, get the old bit of chocolate there. Light hint anyway, guys. Phoenix Park. If you want to get some R420 grinders like our buddy Danny, then be there. Nice one for letting me get that one in there, Danny. Yes. I'll pop that off. Who else there to join in? What's happening? Legalized Germany now, 420. What's happening? That's to Mazori Sajad. Others out there. Scantness says, still raving over that heap. Hemp plastic pulverizer. Well, it's funny, you can call it a cannabis grinder, and it's just like, it's what it is and it's what it does. It's what it's made of, Zombie Nation, like, we need a day to celebrate the green stuff. We need more than one. We need one a month. We've got a time every day we celebrate it as well. We celebrate it once a day, 364 and a half days a year, or 364 and a quarter days a year. Ralph. Kane Omid, guys. One minute there. I'm just going to quickly grab a refreshment. Just quickly, I had to grab my water there as the cotton mill kicked in. So right. News. Let's get stuck into some of the stuff from Ireland and the Irish scene. What's going on here in Ireland at the moment? And again, actually, we're back to R420 and hero of the community, because thanks to R420 who posted this over on his Twitter page. This is where I got this image from. It was from the Twitter page of R420. In fact, I think I have the tweet still open, do I? Yes, actually I do. I have this tweet still open, so I'll pop the tweet up on the page for a second. And Kev says, front page news, judge gives incorrect medical opinion and they actually print it. And he says, have you not got access to Google in your office? Tagging the Laois News, the Leinster Express there. It says, backwards, lazy journalism. No wonder you've 8,000 followers and 0 engagement in your posts. And rightfully so, but well said there, Kev. Calling out the journalists there for what is effectively lazy journalism, because they went away and they printed the comments of the judge without challenging the comments of the judge, because the judge does make some in factual statements, I suppose, within this. So I'll pop up the article there for you can all see it up on screen there. So this was the headline that was used for the comments of this judge. It was jail for €2 million judge a drugs haul, and that was after €2 million worth of drugs were seized out on at the is it the Rosslare Harbour, is that over there, port that side of the world, I think. Not Ross. I'm not too sure anyway. Sorry, I'm getting my geography of Ireland all sorts confused. But the actual article, boom, there we go. This is the actual article. And I'm going to pop it up here on screen for myself so I can actually read it. A circuit court judge said Portlaoise has an enormous illegal drugs problem that's worse than any of the towns in the Midlands. So that's why Portlaoise is not a Rosslare, because Rosslare is not in the Midlands. Judge Keenan Johnson made the comments as he sentenced Eugenus Sakalis, who's 26 years of age. Give you his address here above in Clondalkin. The defendant was sentenced to 6 years in prison with the final year suspended for possession of 120 kilos of cannabis herb valued at 2.4 million at a storage facility. Yeah, I'm mixing up two stories there. This was at a storage facility. This wasn't at the harbour where this cannabis was seized. Says, having sat in Portlaoise for a number of days, Judge Johnson said the issue of illicit drug use in Laois, and particularly in Portlaoise, is enormous. It's by far the biggest problem of any of the towns I deal with in the Midlands district. He says the use of illegal drugs creates crime, puts pressure on the health system, and basically undermines society, he told court. And this is where I guess myself and Kev would draw issue, and I don't know if Kev agree or disagree with me on this one, but the journalists should really be challenging this, because we've seen time and time again for the last how many years that the failure of prohibition, the empowering of these gangs, and the increasing problem there of organised crime gangs within Ireland. But that's not because of illegal drug use. That's because of prohibition. Like what we call illegal drug use is just when some bunch of, I don't know what, I'm not even going to call them names, like a bunch of people just came together and said, look, we don't like this thing, so we're just going to make it illegal now. And like that group of people was only a small representative of the actual overall community. And as we know, communities are quite large and diverse, lots of different opinions, lots of different likes and dislikes within communities. So for a small group of people to be able to just turn around and regard another group of people, like, look where that leads us. Like, when it came to the gay community and how they were treated, look where that got us when it was a bunch of white people making the rules for the black people, and how that got treated the black people, So again, that these rules are what really undermines society, because by making somebody's drug use illegal, you therefore empower organised crime gangs then to cater for that demand for that substance, and that's what undermines our community and undermines our society at large, and undermines the efforts of our Gardaí. The Gardaí it's like putting a band-aid on a fucking amputated arm and expecting it to get better, because that's what our Gardaí are doing. The Gardaí are the band-aid. And drug prohibition is the amputated arm, and we're there, and in actual fact, regulation is a prosthetic. It's a motorized prosthetic. Proper regulation then is one that might be actually connected to the neural circuitry, and you could be able to operate it with your brain, and actually wiggle your fingers. Like, that's drug regulation, proper, effective drug regulation. I don't think any place has got it quite just right yet, but places like Portugal and even in places like BC now, and in other states in America where they've made small steps forward, they're working with a prosthetic arm that's probably, it's probably not movable. Maybe they can manipulate the arm and grab stuff or something like that, but it's not quite there just yet. But that's what undermines our society, is the drugs policy. It's not the drug users. The drug use is a perfectly normal, natural human behavior. We've all, in some way, shape, or form, sought altered states of consciousness. Some people achieve this through, going for long runs and stuff like that. Some other people achieve it by sitting down and simply doing breathing techniques. Other people, they can. There's many ways in which people can achieve altered states of consciousness. You don't even need substances to do it, but sometimes substances, it's like a car. You don't need a car to get to A to B, but by God, if you got a car, you're going to get there a bit faster. If you got a helicopter, it's even faster, and that's kind of what psychedelics and other drugs can be like. When when it comes to achieving these altered states of consciousness for whatever reason it might be that you're seeking them. There's lots of reasons people might seek them. But again, illegal drugs don't create crime. Drug prohibition that creates illegal drugs creates crime. Supporting drug prohibition supports creating crime. And supporting drug prohibition puts pressure on the health system, because the health system now has to deal with a situation where people are going to be less likely to divulge what illicit substances they might have been using prior to arriving at the hospital. So now you've got health professionals kind of maybe possibly giving drugs to people, that might react with these drugs that might be in their system that they were afraid to talk about because they're illegal. See the pressure then that's put on the system by that, but we don't talk about this when it comes to drug prohibition. At least these lazy journalists, such as the one who wrote this article, will never talk about this. You come to places like 420 News that they hear breakdowns like this. But we go on anyway, and we finish off this article. It says, and the judge says, I think it is very important that young people be educated as to the dangers of drugs. Again, he acts as if we've not had all sorts of drug education over the years. I myself sat through a situation where a guy came in and he talks about I started off on the cannabis and I ended up on the heroin and I was in prison, and all the stories and the poor guy up there having to go through it as part of some recovery effort for himself or something. But all of us sitting there knowing better, having tried cannabis and knowing that that's not really the case. Me now at the moment, being a lot more educated on the subject, knows that is not the case. It's just factually incorrect. There is nothing in cannabis that's going to make you want to go to harder drugs. In fact, if you start in cannabis and you go to harder drugs, it's because the cannabis wasn't strong enough. Yeah, that's why you moved on to something stronger, is because it wasn't strong enough. It's actually that there was nothing in there for you. There wasn't anything in there that made you move on. There was just simply nothing in there to make you want to stay with that drug as a substance. That wasn't my experience with cannabis. Cannabis was this is actually great. My quality of life is better. I'm actually thinking better, more clearly, making better decisions. I rather like this tool to be used for a better quality of life, for at least in my own situation. Right, now we're going to get to the juicy part. As if it wasn't enough, what we said it wasn't enough already, but the Judge Johnson, he warned that cannabis is anything but a safe drug, and he said that it's linked to psychosis. So here we go, clutching at straws. It's basically studies that were done and funded by prohibitionists in an effort to come up with evidence to prove that cannabis is dangerous. And in actual fact, there was probably more studies done to find the bad of cannabis that actually found good within it, and some of those studies then weren't published, or maybe they weren't talked about as much. Much like the Schaefer report that recommended actually decriminalizing cannabis all those years ago. It was a commission put together by the then president at the time. He didn't like it, so he just didn't talk about it. That's what's gone on here, and we've lived with how many almost 100 years of cannabis prohibition now. So again, there's about 100 years of these kind of misinformed studies. These studies, because if you start a study with a predefined outcome, it's not too hard to really achieve that and get it published, as was proven by those two lads who done all those studies. They were on with Joe Rogan there one stage. Can't recall their name now, but they done studies where they went out and they were talking about dogs being gay or something like that. I can't remember the study to be exact, but basically they were claiming that the dog went out and they were achieving numbers that just weren't achievable and stuff. And it was just showing that if you're able to come out with what's the word, a sought after outcome, an outcome that's in line with the trends, I suppose, or something like that at the time. Shit, I can't really think of what I was trying to say on that one. So coming out with an outcome that would have been in line with the prohibitionists, they're more likely to support it. That's the kind of thing. Anyway, that went on there was the cannabis stuff. Sorry, after getting a brain fart, that Glewberry's after kicking the arse out of me, I'd imagine. At least I'm going to blame the Glewberry for that brain fart anyway. Definitely not having any cases of psychosis here anyway, as Judge Johnson might lead you to believe. But he made the comments during the sentencing hearing saying society has to severely punish drug crimes to reflect society's abhorrence of illegal drugs. But in actual fact, like when you look at society, it doesn't really have an abhorrence of legal drugs, does it? Like, is in fact, there was a study there showing that like 1 in 4 drug users, or yeah, I think it's like 1 in 4 people in society use illegal drugs, or something like that within the last 12 months. Can't remember where I came across that study, but there's I think it was like 1 in 4 adults had admitted to a recent European study using illegal drugs in the previous 12 months. And the same study probably will come out and say, well 2 in 4 were lying about their illegal drug use in the previous 4 months. As so many people use illegal drugs in some shape or form. So they don't have an abhorrence to it, really. Like, it's just something that you say to try to keep people brainwashed. He says the Lithuanian defendant admitted working for an Eastern European organised crime group, and he had been transporting the drugs for payment. Court heard he had been in custody since his initial arrest and was a model prisoner who cooperated with Gardaí during their investigation. So here again, we see an example of a person who's most likely been taken advantage of by gangs over in Eastern Europe, where they're able to get cannabis at a very low price, coming in from places like Albania and other places like that. Once they're able to get somebody like this guy, a mule that they pay a very small fee, I'd imagine, to transport the drugs, as the headline said, €2 million worth of drugs, or more specifically, €2.43 million worth of cannabis. That's a lot, you give this guy $5,000. So what's $5,000 out of 2.43 million? That's not a lot anyway, is it? And the guy would be probably delighted, because what's a trip from Lithuania to Cork? If he's driving over, or whatever the case may be, even if he was flying over with it, it's a couple of days, a week or two. You do a week's work there for $5,000, not a bother. Yeah, that's the job. Can I bring more again? Can I do it again next week? So another person being taken advantage of because of it, and the prison then saying that the individual is a model prisoner, is showing how good people can be coerced into doing illegal things for possibly financial gain. But illegal things, especially when there is no victim, because the judge might say, the consumers are victims and blah blah blah. There's no victim here. The only victim is the person who's transporting it, if he was to be caught by the authorities, and then he's going to be victimized by people like Judge Keenan, who's going to treat the guy severely, punish him severely. Like, how can Judge Keenan be like that? Again, imagine if this was 2 gay people all those years ago, and like, think of that judge in that light. And how he's treating people like this. He's basically taking his own bias, his own personal hate against this community of people, and he's using his powers to kind of abuse. He's abusing his powers, really. And when you think about it, like, imagine if this was going back to the early 1980s or whatever, when buggery was a crime here, when 2 gay people could be brought before the courts for engaging in the act of same-sex intercourse, or whatever the description might have been in the courts at the time, and saying, to reflect society's abhorrence of homosexual relationships, I'm going to punish you severely, giving them 8 years in prison. Because maybe they were transporting gay porn. I didn't think about it. Like, it's no different. Like, this is no different. Like there is no victims from homosexual acts. There's no victims to somebody buying cannabis off of somebody, or somebody bringing cannabis into this country to sell to people. Like, there should be no victims. The cannabis should hopefully be of good quality. Unfortunately, because of a lack of regulations, there is no requirement to keep good quality there. But you can't blame people, for trying anyway. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the judge, he's the problem here. Like, he is the main problem. He's the real essential point of the problems. Like, because he's up in a position where he should be aware now of the failures of drug prohibition over the last